Today's show is brought to you by locally owned and operated Highland Rim Speedway. Highland Rim Speedway is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year with great short-track, door-to-door stock car racing in a safe, family-friendly atmosphere. Visit their website at highlandrim.com. If you want to feel the wind blowing through your hair and see the great city of Nashville at the same time, check out Nashville Scooter Tours. Trekking through the downtown streets to Music Row with Nashville Scooter Tours is safe, eco-friendly, and a whole lot of fun. They use Xenon electric scooters that go 55 miles on a single charge. Find out more by calling 615-290-5563 or book your reservation today at nashvillescootertours.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Football Fantasy on the Field with this kid, Nancy Filippelli, and my trusty sidekick, Sharka Shellac.
Here I am.
Gosh, I love her so much. I'm so happy you're
back.
Surprised. Me.
Well,
Let me start off by saying it's crunch time. And for most of you, this will be the last week to clinch a playoff spot. So it's really important to pay attention to coaching this week, especially if you're sitting borderline 6th and 7th place. I know top 6 teams in my Pigskin Pussycats make the playoffs starting next week. Speaking of my Pigskin Pussycats, I'll have a special guest on later from our all-girls fantasy league, Jamie Stallings, to model the coveted prize, the Miss Pigskin Pussycat Trophy, Sash, and Crown. She also happens to be Miss Indiana, so she knows her way around a tiara. Her Indianapolis Colts play our Tennessee Titans this week, so I'll have her give us some matchup, smack talk as she models the Pigskin Pussycat swag. We'll be right back from a word from our sponsors.
From the family grocery hauler to fire-breathing racing engines, the one name you need to know is USA Motor and Machine, located at 51 Cleveland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-726-3725 or at usamotorandmachine.com. Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
We're back with Sit 'em and Stardoms. Let's start with our quarterbacks, Andrew Luck versus the Tennessee Titans. Luck is coming off a monster game against the Detroit Lions, and this week's matchup against the Titans makes him a must-start once again. Their defense has allowed 24 touchdown passes this season, which is tied for second most in the league. Luck also has 17 fantasy points against them back in Week 8.
Woohoo!
Stardom. No, we don't like that because that's against our Titans.
Oh, damn.
I know, it's very upsetting. But, I mean, hey, she's a Colts fan, so you know what? And later on, Miss Indiana's a Colts fan, too, so she'll appreciate that little commentary.
I get excited.
Anyway, who should we go to next?
Well, Josh
to
Freeman.
Stardom. Josh Freeman versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Freeman is a terrific fantasy option this week. Don't you agree?
I do.
As he faces the Eagles' defense that has allowed 25-plus fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks in each of his last 3 games. What's more, this defense has given up 15 fantasy points in their last 7 games. Stardom. Eli Manning versus New Orleans Saints. I like Manning in this matchup. The Saints' defense has allowed more fantasy points to quarterbacks on the road than any other team in the league. Must start Manning. Sleeper alert. Kaepernick, I talked about him all week last week. Versus the Miami Dolphins this week, the Dolphins can be tough on the run, but have allowed 5th most passing yards on an average of just under 17 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So he's probably a good start. Sit-ems, Phillip Rivers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. If we've learned anything about Rivers this season, it's that you can't trust him to be consistent. We talked about that last week.
I was about to say the same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth.
In fact, he's posted fewer fantasy points in 6 of his last games than any other, 15 to be exact. The Steelers have allowed the 2nd fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks at home, so definitely sit him. Avi. Sit him, sit him, sit him. Let's go to Ryan Fitzpatrick versus the St. Louis Rams. You might look at this matchup and think that the Amish rifle is a nice start. Think again.
He's Amish?
Yeah.
Whoa, does
you
he
didn't know that?
drive a wagon and make cheese?
Yeah, and he doesn't use Q-tips, and he grows potatoes.
And have lots of children. Wait, I don't know that. So
I don't really know
let's
that
get
either.
back to
So.
the real story.
The Rams have actually been pretty stout against the pass in road contests, allowing only an average of just over 13 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. That makes it Fitzpatrick more of a sit than a start. Let's move on to running backs. CJ Spiller versus the St. Louis Rams. I think he'll lead his team in touches against the Rams, who have allowed the third most total touchdowns and an average of close to 20 fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. He's a good start, wouldn't you say?
I would also say that Bradshaw is another option.
Versus the New Orleans Saints. Bradshaw has 2 back-to-back banner games, including over a 100-yard performance last week against the Washington Redskins. He's also back to dominate touches with Andre Brown out, so Bradshaw is a safer fantasy option. The vet has a great matchup against the Saints defense that hasn't been able to stop the run, so start him.
Got a sleeper alert?
We do, with
Well,
Sean.
Go ahead and spit it out.
Sean Green. I start him every week. At Jacksonville Jaguars this week, Green has been losing some carries in recent weeks, but I'd still roll the dice on him this week as a flex starter against the Jaguars. Their defense has allowed 13 total touchdowns and the third most fantasy points to opposing running backs, and the Jets will need to run to win this week. Sit-ems.
Let me have it.
Owners beware, Reggie Bush at San Francisco 49ers. Bush has had just one good stat line in recent weeks, and an upcoming match against the Niners is not favorable. Since 2011, their defense has allowed, on an average, only 75 rushing yards, 6 fantasy points, and no touchdowns to runners. The week after a loss, San Francisco lost last week, so Bush is likely to lose now. Don't start him.
What about Ryan Matthews?
At the Pittsburgh Steelers?
That's what I'm talking about.
Matthews hasn't posted double-digit fantasy points since week 5. And a difficult matchup against the Steelers doesn't bode well for him this week. In fact, no defense has allowed fewer fantasy points to opposing running backs at home than Pittsburgh. What do you say?
I say that we should sit him. And now I want to hear about some wideouts.
Okay, let's do wide receivers. Let's start, for example,
well, Randall Cobbs, right?
Versus
the Detroit Lions?
Absolutely. Jordy Nelson is dealing with a bum hamstring, and Greg Jennings has just one game under his belt after an extended absence from a gridiron due to an injury groin. So definitely start him. Sleeper alert, Jeremy McClin at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The defense has given up the second most fantasy points to wide receivers at home and the most overall. Nick Foles will look to McClin often with Deshaun Jackson out of action. I have to put in something else because I know Deshaun Jackson is on my starting lineup, so I have to totally take him out, and I'm going to put in McClin, I think.
I'm glad that you follow your own advice.
Well,
that'd be really crappy to our fans and viewers if you're like, I'm going to tell you this, but I'm really going to do this.
I would definitely start him as like maybe your number 3 wide receiver if your roster goes that deep. So, sit-ems, wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald at Seattle Seahawks and Miles Austin at the Bengals.
Did you almost say Seahawks? Because I think that's what I heard. Moving on to tight ends.
Yeah, you might want to because I'm going to say something that I'm not supposed to, okay? Tight ends start Owen Daniels at New England Patriots and Vernon Davis versus the Miami Dolphins. Sleeper kicker start Matt Prater at Denver at Oakland. And always start our very own Rob Baronis, of course.
And you need to watch last week's episode, the interview with him.
Yeah, did you guys catch it?
It got 4,000 views in the first day.
Oh, that's so nice. Good for us. Good for Rob.
4,001 at least.
We'll be right back. Let's talk Tennessee Titan and Indianapolis Colts matchup. For Tennessee, it's bragging rights. Quarterback Jake Locker is still looking to put together strings of consistent starts. He hasn't been able to fight injury and inconsistent play enough to make a name for himself during his sophomore season. A big win over a team clearly in high spirits would get Tennessee back on track after last week's loss to Houston. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would say so.
I would say so too. Johnson has a chance to run 100 yards, a mark he missed by just 1 point against the league's 25th worst run defense in fantasy football. There's a lot of starts in this game, including wide receivers Kenny Britt and Reggie Wayne. Luck is the man in Indianapolis right now. We talk about him all the time. His season keeps getting better, and with close to 3,600 yards and 17 touchdowns, he continues to win football games despite his interception situation.
Uh-oh.
I know. Kind of like a Peyton Manning was back in the day. Peyton Manning had great stats, great yards, great amounts of touchdowns, like left and right all over the place, but he had a lot of interceptions too. And Luck is following suit. But you know what? I mean, Peyton Manning is a Hall of Famer, and, you know, I think Luck will follow that suit as well.
There must be, like, just amazing blood in that family with Peyton
the
and
Mannings,
yeah,
I know, and like Archie Manning, the father.
in the bloodline.
I think so,
That's
too.
my 2 cents.
I bet you their
today.
kids are going to play football, too. Do you think?
Probably.
I think so, too.
Or maybe they'll just be dancers or something random.
Don't let...
Sometimes that happens. You know, like when two beautiful people get together, sometimes they make an ugly baby. Like,
what are you saying? Dancers are ugly?
No, but I mean...
Explain yourself.
No, but dancing is like completely different than sports, you know? So you would think they would have sports fantastic kids, whoever he gets with.
Right.
But they might be painters or dancers or dreamers.
a lot of football players actually have been on Dancing with the Stars. So...
Well, but they have to be pretty agile.
Agile.
And
that's a good word for you. That's
yes,
a big word for
like
you.
Pee Wee Herman Day. What was I going to say?
How is Pee Wee Herman agile?
Because it's like word of the day with
like,
the,
with
the
his hands
shutters and the windows open. You know. Well, we don't need to get into that. Okay, we need to get back on track with the Colts and the Titans.
Fine. People underestimate Tennessee, but with a solid running game against a team with propensity to allow points, this one won't be a blowout if the Titans come ready to play. Still, don't bet against luck at home. What do you think? Who's going to win? Call it right now. I want answers, woman. I demand answers. I think I deserve answers.
You know what? I would like to say the Titans, but I think it's going to be the Colts.
You think so?
I think so.
We'll be right back with Jamie Stallings to give her opinion on Colts or Titans.
You know what? First, we're going to go to the Twitter mailbag, and then we'll have Jamie on.
Why wouldn't we go to the Twitter mailbag? I thought we already did that. We're going to do it again? Lucky me.
Well, whose fault is that?
Well, let's just
stay tuned.
Bandwidth for today's show is brought to you by SoftLayer.com. We love SoftLayer here at Talkapolis. They are the greatest hosting company ever. They make everything easy. Check out their website at SoftLayer.com. Thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Well, now it's time for the Twitter segment.
So
it's
excited.
also
I love this
called
part.
the Mailbag Nancy segment.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, we got some good questions today.
All right.
So the first one is at Pigskin says, who's the better rookie, Trent Richardson or Doug Martin?
I would definitely say Doug Martin. He has over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Oh,
so
that's simple enough.
Right? Does that answer your question, Pig Suey?
Suey.
Goodness, I got
so at SocksKid30 says, what should I expect out of Big Ben this week?
Well, he's playing the Chargers, and I think that he'll do good. I mean...
He had a good return last week from the injury.
He definitely did. If he doesn't get hurt, then I'd say expect some decent numbers from him. Yeah. If you have an elite starter, though, start him over Roethlisberger. I'm not a big fan. But anyway. Next question.
So at the Catman says Eli and Nix or Freeman and Williams?
Eli and Nix, Eli and Nix, Eli and Nix, Eli and Nix.
Because Freeman and Williams, they're playing the Eagles? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yes. And
you don't think Freeman and Williams would be a better choice? I don't know. I think I'd kind of go with them.
You're going to go with them? All right. I like this controversy situation.
Well,
and then we can bet on it.
Change my
and
mind.
then you can clean my house when you lose.
No, I was just thinking that you can stick your tongue to a cold lamppost next month.
Do you? It's been...
and I have to leave it there. Just like the Christmas story. I can just see her. I just want to watch football. Moving on.
You're cruel.
Well, that's why I'm on the show. Dr. Tooth1 says, can I trust Bradshaw again, or was last week a fluke?
Absolutely start him. We just talked about it. If you're watching the show, if you even care about what I say, then pay attention.
They didn't fast forward past you.
Goodness gracious. Start Bradshaw, start Bradshaw,
I think he's
start
back
Bradshaw.
for good.
Yeah.
Okay, so last one. At Chicken Nugget Lova says, how is Greg Jennings looking as a playoff start this week?
Well, you know what? There are too many targets to share the spotlight with Jennings, so I don't know if I would start him. But if he's your only option, then go ahead. But I would definitely, if you're in a better guy, if you're in a bind, start him. But if you're not, then look to somebody else.
Okay. Well, we will be back with Jamie Stallings in just a moment, so keep watching. She's Miss Indiana. Woo-hoo.
Yay, Miss Indiana! I'm so excited.
Microcasting for your city, Talkapolis.
We are back with the beautiful and talented, well, beautiful, Jamie Stallings. Welcome.
I'm actually Jamie Miller now, by the way.
Oh, that's right. And I keep calling her.
Way to go, Nancy.
I know. I forgot.
You don't even know her name.
It's only been like a year and a half.
She got married to one of my good friends, Ryan Miller. I was there the night that they met, actually. Wasn't I?
Yep.
Yes.
Love at first sight both ways. Nanci and my husband.
Exactly. Not me and her husband, me and her.
True, very true. Okay. I hope not at least. That's awkward.
That would be so weird. And this is what we've been talking about the whole time. The coveted trophy.
This is for your league.
This is for the Pigskin Pussycat League. And it says right here, Miss Pigskin Pussycat 2012. And it's the trophy that the winner gets. And then the crown. And then this is the sash. We're going to have Jamie model in just a minute.
Why don't we just do it now?
Because she was Miss Indiana, you guys. How cool is that? That's where she's from. And since our Tennessee Titans are playing the Indianapolis Colts this week, I thought it would be perfect to have her on to talk about the matchup, to talk about her and how pretty I am. So why don't you...
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm sure she wants to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I feel like that this is probably going to go to me because crown and sashes just kind of naturally come to me, you know? And they just look better on me. I mean, let's all be honest, right? It's going to look better on me. So, just saying.
All right. Well, I'm glad that that's on tape, and you can eat those words later because it's going to be mine, all mine. Mine, nom, 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 nom.
Oh, God.
All right, but let's put it on and see what it looks like on you. Okay. Why don't we? Why don't you throw
Since
that?
I haven't even seen it.
Whatever
yet.
that situation is going on around your neck.
Oh, just put it over
Throw that around the side of you. Oh, I guess you can cover
It's okay.
All right, it is okay.
It works.
Right. Oh, we need to get a picture too, but that'll come later. Sure,
We'll Instagram it later.
We'll Instagram.
Oh my
It
God,
looks great on her.
It really does.
I mean, I just feel like it's natural, you know? It just feels good. So.
Goes with her outfit too.
Let's talk about Miss Indiana and how that was for you, and when was that, and tell us everything. And while you're wearing this,
yes,
the situation.
It was 2007, so I'm like an old has-been at this point. But it was fun. We were talking earlier. I mean, I ate everything in sight when I got done. So when I gave up my crown, I was a big fatty. It was awesome. So I kind of felt stupid, and I still kind of feel stupid when people say that I'm Miss Indiana because I always feel like people are like judging me. So it's really embarrassing.
Well, isn't that their job to judge you? I
mean, but not anymore. I'm not Miss Indiana right now.
She's retired.
Yeah. Like, I can be fat if I want to, or like, you know, unattractive.
She's an adult. She does what she wants.
Yeah. Do what I want.
She is stunning, though, I swear. When I first met her, I could not take my eyes off her. Now she's, you know, just Jamie. But I remember one time I walked in on her and her husband doing it. Can I say that?
What? Oh, you did?
They didn't even stop. It was like really weird. I don't know why I just told that story. But anyway,
I think we need to cut.
Let's go to another story. Let's talk about you being the first time fantasy footballer and being in 4th place. Well, actually, we're tied.
That was rude.
Jamie and I are tied for 3rd place, actually, at 8-5. And
I'm gonna kill you, so no big deal.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I do. I think so.
We played each other, and what happened? Do you remember the outcome of that?
Never mind.
I do remember the outcome, but I just want to say that being that this is my first time, I didn't understand the rules completely, and I thought that if you missed like your starting lineup, like putting your team in place or whatever, I thought if you missed it Thursday's game that you were done for the whole week. So I didn't know that you could actually do it up until like that particular game that this.
And she bullies people, so she probably didn't tell you.
No, she didn't. She was really rude about it.
That's cheating. I would never cheat.
I forgot on Thursday, and then I just kept thinking that I had forgotten, so I didn't set it up. And I lost basically because people were on bye or like they weren't going to do well, and
nobody held your hand, and
nobody held my hand. No.
I know.
So that's the only reason why you won.
Yeah. Oh, really?
She's sink or swim over here.
We're going to play again. And we're both going to be in the playoffs for shiz. Unless we both lose. No, there's no way we're not going to make the playoffs because there's 6 teams that go into the playoffs and we have one week left. So if maybe 5th and 6th, whoever that is, I think it's Jessica, James, who's engaged to Eric Decker. We talk about her. We're going to have her on the show at some point. If she loses, and if Carla's Angels, no, she's in 2nd place. If Titty Titty Touchdown, Carly, if Carly loses, or if they both win and we both lose, then one of us might not make the playoffs.
Which would probably be you.
It'll probably be her. But anyway, so we seriously need to pay attention to coaching and changing our starters, which I've noticed that you have. Like, who are you starting this week? Do you know, like, offhand who your quarterback is?
Yeah, it's Matt Stafford, which I've been going back and forth between him and Fitzpatrick because Matt Stafford was, okay at the beginning, and then he had some, like, off games, and I was getting really frustrated with him, so I put Ryan Fitzpatrick in. But now I'm back to Matt Stafford. He had a good week last week, actually against the Colts, which they won in the end. But he still put up some good points, so I was excited about that.
Well, that's good to ask you because one of the Twitter questions that we had was, should we start Fitzpatrick? So it'd be good to get your opinion on that because, you have him.
I mean, I wouldn't start Fitzpatrick because he hasn't been doing that well for the last couple of weeks, in my opinion. I think last week he did okay. But for the last few weeks, he hasn't done that great. He's on my bench. So I would say no. Don't do it.
There was another Twitter question that asked you how the Colts are doing this past year. What do you think of their season so far?
Well, I think they're doing great. I'm, like, super impressed by them. I'm a big Colts fan. I think Andrew Luck is doing awesome. He had a great victory last week against Detroit. Yeah. But I have a message. I have a message for Andrew Luck.
Oh, you do? Well, tell us. Of course, watching.
Tell everyone. Andrew, I have to tell you something. I like you. I bought your jersey. I mean, you're great. You did a good job last week, and you've done a great job this season. But being that Reggie Wayne is in my, my starting lineup, I just, can you throw to him more? Because it's really not working out up to this point.
I know, right?
Whenever you do throw to him, I mean, you make shit happen, but just you haven't been doing it. So can you do that? Thanks.
Thanks for watching. You know what's good, too? That's a great jersey. Luck. I mean,
I know, right?
That's awesome.
I mean, if you didn't really know, I don't know why you wouldn't know that was a quarterback, but maybe you would think, like, you're just, like, going for luck.
That's a cool jersey. I should get one.
Yeah.
That's what you would think.
I like it.
So, Sharka, what do you want to ask Jamie, the wonderful Jamie? Ask her something. Make her talk. Make her tell us things.
What got you started in fantasy football? Why did you decide to do it? Does your husband play? Or?
My husband does play. He's in like 2 or 3 leagues this year. And I've been wanting to. I'm actually not that big of a football fan. Or actually, I've been getting into football over the last couple of years. And they've been asking me, Nancy's been asking me for like years now, I feel like, but I just never do it. And
I've been harassing her.
Yes,
I haven't
been harassing me. But I decided to do it this year, and I actually am like super excited that I did. And Sunday is now like a ritual for me to go to the same bar every Sunday and just
Melrose.
And I just drink.
Now all the guys who think Jamie's cute are going to show up at Melrose.
She's taking it. Well, I am. I'm there every Sunday, so if you want to see me, you can come.
Well, we used to have parties at your house, and I remember watching the Titans and the Colts play at your house one year. Actually brought over Kylie. We talked about her when we had little Cash on, the little girl, the guy used to date, his little girl. And it was so cute. Remember what she called the Colts? The Indianapolis. Remember? Because she was like, Indianapolis was way too long of a word, so she called it the Indianapolis.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
And then she found...
No.
Don't even go there. You're right. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Definitely not a still track.
Sorry.
What's wrong with me? Anyway, gosh, diarrhea of the mouth. Diarrhea. Anyway, but you did have this one Halloween party that was so fun, and she hand-delivered the invitation to my front doorstep. It was really cool. It was like a skull on a stick with a plaque, and it had my name on it. And tell everybody about that.
Well, I get really into Halloween. It's my favorite.
Me too.
Yeah.
Favorite holiday?
I love it. It's my favorite holiday. And
friends.
I was Miss Indiana USA. I have no talent. If there was a talent, it would be like arts and crafts or something, I guess. I don't know. So for Halloween, I decorate the crap out of my place.
It's amazing.
Then I have this like thing. My husband and I, he's also really crafty, but he's straight. Okay. Anyway,
jury's still out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's working out so far for us. So.
Yeah.
So we make these like cool invitations every year, and so the one that she's talking about was this big skull that we put on like a stick and on it looked like a trophy.
Yeah, it almost did look like a trophy.
But it had like a spider on his head and like a nail on his on the other side of his head that had the person's name on it, and then it had the invitation like underneath his head. Anyway,
the Miller Thriller, they called it.
Yeah, we call it the Miller Thriller. The year before that was actually a coffin that had like a spider webs in the inside and a skeleton and like red velvet. It was really cool.
It was hand delivered too?
But
why didn't I get one?
I
was in LA.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm sure you should get a spooky singing telegram.
Oh yeah.
I love that idea.
That would be good. We didn't
help
have
when
one
I
this
can.
year because we don't have a house right now. We're building and we're living with a friend, and it's weird.
Well, your one next year, the one next year is going to be amazing. And I brought that up because I wanted to talk about when I met my fantasy football quarterback at the party. Actually, Aaron Rodgers came to her Halloween party last year, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're my fantasy quarterback!" Blah. And I took a picture with him, and I'll have that.
That's how cool our party is. Okay, it's that cool.
It's so
Aaron
super fun.
Rodgers comes.
Yes.
Say
it was awesome.
So you feel left out, I'm sorry.
So we will be right back with Jamie giving us next week's schedule.
And here's the NFL Week 14 schedule. Baltimore at Washington, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, San Diego at Pittsburgh, Chicago at Minnesota, Atlanta at Carolina, Dallas at Cincinnati, Kansas City at Cleveland, Tennessee at Indianapolis, New York Jets at Jacksonville, Miami at San Francisco, New Orleans at New York Giants, and Arizona at Seattle, Detroit at Green Bay. Monday night is Houston at New England.
That's going to be a good game, actually. Houston at New England. Huge, huge game for both of them.
And there are no bye weeks this week.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Thanks, Jamie.
Everyone.
Thanks doing that. And the sash and the crown and the trophy is back in the rightful owner's hands.
That's rude.
It's rude.
And and it doesn't look just.
No,
it
looks
looks
better
at home on me.
No,
Doesn't
I just
it,
feel like
you
it looks
guys?
better. You have it all bent.
Listen.
You're not even wearing it right.
Listen, I am Miss Pigskin Pussycat. Okay.
This is to be continued.
Who won last year?
I did.
She's such a liar.
And she's not going to win this year either. So
Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Microcasting for your city. Talkapolis.